Yeah, Danny, you're looking different today.
Yeah, I went and got a
Did you
little
get like
tan.
super swole?
Yeah. I just went to China real quick and just got like super, super tan. So,
I knew you were into anime, but I mean, this is a bit much. Oh, goodness gracious. Mm, damn. Yep. Chris, you been coding?
yeah, yeah, I don't know. I
I've
mean,
been
I
doing
don't
a little bit of
know.
hacking. A little bit of hacking. Yeah, just a wee bit. Not that I can disclose. Yeah. Yeah. Chris
No,
Rao
I've
says he
been.
can't hear you. Yeah.
Well, while you're fixing that, eh, yeah, man, I've been doing some coding and slapping the keyboard, and it's slapping the bass. Yeah, it's just I don't know, it's just getting to the point. It's just crazy nowadays. Like just the sheer amount of it's just crazy the sheer amount of coding you can do, in just small a lot of times, and then what you can actually produce. It's just I don't know.
Yeah. I'll be able to tell you in a second, but no, nope, cannot hear you now. No, not yet. Yeah, well, anyways, I guess Chris and I'll just have this live stream. You
Yeah.
can just do sign language. Yeah. So, anyways, I mean, talking about AI coding, so I just ran into someone who I haven't seen in probably like 6 months to a year, and he's another developer. And I was asking him how AI has
Mm,
impacted his workflow. And he says that, he used to only handle front end stuff, and now he's doing full stack, doing all of it. He's like solving other people's problems. There was a unit test that wasn't working. He just threw it into Claude, pretty much solved it for him. And so
that's
it's
cool.
definitely one of those things where it can expand your own capabilities very quickly.
Yeah, definitely. I'm all about the back end now, if you know what I mean. Can you guys hear me now? I feel like you should be able to hear me now.
Yeah, I can hear you now. It was
Okay.
There
that
you
back
go.
end comment. You were talking
There
about
you
how you
go.
like it in the back end, and then
Yes,
that's
yes.
all of a sudden the sound comes back on.
Yes. Perfect.
Yep.
That was actually my goal. Uh, what's up, everybody? What's up? Hello, Fast Break. I think that's Charles. What's up, buddy? Um, yeah,
Hey
no, I
Charles,
think
Sly's Analog and Digital Chronicles.
yeah. What's up, guys? Yeah, I think that is like a really cool thing about uh, like AI. Not only that you can do different stack sets, like front end, back end, whatever, but also that you can sort of now walk between different tech stacks themselves. Like Chris, Chris has personal experience with this. You were primarily, primarily an Angular developer, and then
Right.
I got you hooked on Cursor, and then all of a sudden now you're a React developer, Next.js developer.
Yeah, I guess I saw the light. I saw the
Yeah.
Vercel light that just drew me in.
It's like, come to us, buddy, come to us.
Yeah, but no, I
Hmm.
mean, it is true. Like, at the end of the day, what is it? Just syntax? Between all of
Yeah.
these different frameworks and even languages, like you have your if
At the end of
statements,
the
for
day, it's not
loops,
like I'm
whatever.
actually coding it.
It's all
Right,
vibes.
exactly.
It's all vibes and magic. I was actually thinking about this yesterday when I was like driving back from the gym about like how it must be tough for you because you're working at work in Angular and then when we're coding together you're doing React and so you have to do a little bit of mind switching. But I guess that must be much easier when you're just saying like just do it to
Yeah,
cursor.
I mean,
Accept
yeah.
all changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it is a little tough, but I mean you've been handling a lot of the front end and then I've been doing the back end. And I mean I guess it is
Yeah,
Node JS too, but I guess it is all just TypeScript really at the end of the day too.
that's
It's
true.
like you
Yeah.
can kind of read that, but there are some like I mean, I don't know if this is a hot take, but there are some things that are like 10 times better in Angular than
Oh
like
yeah.
Next. Yeah,
Tell us,
like
because I've never really messed too much with Angular, so
I mean, just kind of like the workflow of things, and I know built in is like observables, which I don't even know. Can you do? I think you can do RxJS observables inside of a Next project, but I'm not 100%
I
sure.
don't exactly. When you say observables, you basically mean like streaming data feeds.
Basically, yeah. So like
Yeah.
RxJS is like it's pre-installed with any Angular project and you can control the data pipeline on the front end a lot easier. If you need to filter
Mm,
things out in the beginning or if you need to tap into the stream. It's like let's say the best example I ever heard was like it's literally like a pipe and it's like data comes in one side, goes out the other. But then with observables, you can like reach in and grab data, manipulate it, and put it back in while it's going. Or
mm,
you can just like listen to changes to that. So I guess it's kind of like state. So you can
yeah.
listen to the changes going on and then update values. And then the other big thing is, signals. Have you ever heard of signals? So signals are, I think they have them in JavaScript, but it's essentially you can listen to changes and automatically re-render variables without,
Mm.
you know, like
I mean,
reinstantiating the entire component.
I think that would be the closest relation to that in React would probably just be state, right? Because
Mm,
state, like any, if you track state, any change to state will cause a re-render of that component. So um, I assume
for
that's
sure.
sort of what it's doing. But yeah, that's interesting. I have not really heard that hot take before.
People at
Here,
React conferences love it when I say
I'm
Angular.
sure. I'm sure. They're like, the hater, get him out of here.
Exactly.
Were you going to say something, Randall?
I was gonna say, here's another thing that I'm dealing with right now
Mm,
with AI. So you remember back in the day when you would try and troubleshoot something and you would like write your problem into Google and then you would try and find some article that have some relevance and you would try a whole bunch of stuff and it would take forever and you would never really figure out what was going on.
hmm.
And so now like AI has become such a crutch because you can just put it in there and it gives you a really good answer. And then if you have any further errors, it has another answer. But I'm still working on some of these certifications for hacking stuff like the
Hmm.
OSCP and PMPT and CPTS, all these penetration testing certifications. And when you're taking the exam, they don't allow you to use AI. And so
Yeah, which is
I'm
like
like,
so messed up.
which is ridiculous, and it's just like, how am I supposed to like I'm supposed to do it the old-fashioned way where I like
Stack
look at one
Overflow.
website at
Right.
Yeah,
one
I
website at a
had
time.
I have a friend from a long time ago who she just like posted on LinkedIn the other day. She was like, so excited to announce my new role at Stack Overflow. And I was like, damn, that still exists.
They're
Like
still hiring.
I just commented, I was like, I didn't even know that Stack Overflow still existed. Okay. But apparently it does. See, I just don't understand how there's any longevity there. Like there's no point in using I mean, I guess for that, what you're
I mean, for
explaining,
retraining the models,
right?
because it's like it's going to get to the point where it's like there's no real new data, but then also it doesn't matter because now you have like Cursor and like all of these others that are like training on the actual and GitHub
Documentation.
alone.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
So, no, that's a good point.
I think if people use Cursor efficiently, you can actually create new, better code. Because, like, I was thinking about this, right? Like, before when there was Stack Overflow, there was limited information that you could get about any particular like coding, right? Like you just basically had documentation to go off of. So people would take the documentation, interpret that in their own way through their brain, and write code based on that, right? They don't like documentation doesn't give you an example for every scenario. You sort of have a sample maybe of some piece of code and then you rewrite that. And that's why Stack Overflow, like almost comically, was like shitty, right? It didn't work well because you just had people who weren't writing really high quality code. Like anybody could post on there, right? So then we're
Right.
training these models on somewhat
Shitty code.
inferior code. Yeah, like crap code. And so like then you get the output from things like Cursor where you're like, whoa, dude, that's like not great code, right? And also it Cursor is sort of using older documentation too. So that's why it's really important when you're using Cursor and you want it to do something that's like a modern design pattern to tag the documentation and be like, use this pattern, right? But I'm just thinking like over time, if Cursor is writing the code and it's interpreting the documentation, it's probably going to do actually a little bit better of a job than humans would in writing that code. Maybe not. I don't know. What do you guys think? But um,
I think, yeah, I mean, the interpretation's the hard thing, right? Because, and I think
yeah.
that's, to Randall's point, that's why AI is so good at it because you can pass in these very highly specific scenarios of exactly what you're facing and then
Hmm.
have it kind of interpret that documentation around your problem and be very specific about your problem.
Yeah.
Um,
And also, I think this can AI in this case can do better than humans because there is a clear right or wrong. Like it
Mm.
either works or it doesn't work.
Hmm.
Whereas if it was just open to perception, it wouldn't know if it was doing better or worse. But this was something in that Karpathy video about like a deep dive into LLMs like ChatGPT, where he
Yeah.
was talking about when AI they've looked at AI when it's trained on things where there's a right and a wrong answer, it can actually outperform humans. But when it's on
Interesting.
things that don't have that, it just kind of approaches what humans can do, but
Yeah.
never any better. Because when there's a clear right or wrong, it'll just try stuff that humans would never think to try. There was that I talked about the
Mm.
last time
Oh
we talked
yeah,
that
yeah.
one move
Like
and
moving
go,
in
where like
circles. Yeah.
yeah, it figured out how to do that. So yeah.
Interesting. So yeah, I mean, I think it's possible that we actually get more training data from because that's like from new code that Cursor writes and these other AI IDEs, right? Because that's something that I've been doing recently a lot is anytime that I know I'm like using a new Next 15 feature, I will specifically be like say that in the tag. I'll say use modern design patterns from Next 15 and I'll tag the docs. And then sometimes I'll even tag the actual page in the docs where I want it to like use that pattern. And it seems to do better because otherwise it sort of defaults to like its last trained whatever documentation it has. And it can do like I notice this a lot with things like caching and stuff, where it's like Next.js built in like all of this new caching stuff, but then it'll try to like go back and build its own like cache invalidation components and stuff if you don't like specifically state it. So it is kind of interesting. Like I'm really curious to see. Like I feel like there's been a gap a little bit where all these models were dropped all at the same time, and then now there's been this like period of like no new models, right?
yeah, it
Because I
like
think
came
I
in
think
like
they're
waves.
tweaking the old models. Yeah.
Yeah,
Instead of releasing new ones, I feel like they're tweaking the old ones without really telling anyone what they're doing. Because I'll notice like I'll be using the same model on ChatGPT, and it'll just start acting totally different after
I
maybe a few
agree.
weeks.
Yeah, I do agree with that too. I just want to see something like with newer training data too, and maybe that's part of what they're tweaking. I don't know. They're tweaking
Could be
those
like
nipples back
updating
there.
those, updating the older models with like newer data. But that
Yeah.
was like, I think Danny was talking about using, was it Kimi now
Hmm.
in cursors available. And I have read a couple things like where its coding like it's like up to par with like Claude,
Hmm.
but at a fraction of the cost.
Interesting. See, I
So
noticed I for a while I was like loving Claude, like Sonnet 4, and then I realized like the last couple times I've been using it, I'm like I'm just burning through tokens and it's not significantly better than just auto. And so I went back to just using auto, and it's been working pretty great for me. I think a lot of that is I've changed a little bit of like how I'm actually prompting.
Right.
Um, and I actually made a post about this, which is on my LinkedIn this morning, but I'll share it with you guys because it's pretty interesting, like the strategy I worked out. So one of the things that like I and many developers do when you're in Cursor is like you just sort of like one shot prompt. You're like, I want to build this feature, go. And then like you just end up with like garbage because the AI is designed to just like be like, yes, sir, I'm go do that right now, instead of asking you all those questions that it needs to like build context. So I've been doing this sort of like six part or six prong approach. So first is like I will explain, and this is all sort of in the first prompt, and then I'll iterate with it. But the first thing is I'll explain what I want it to do. So like the feature or bug I'm trying to have it fix. So like, hey, I want you to add a form with this data or whatever, right? Um, I'm gonna have to remember these now. Let me look at the post if I can find it.
Okay,
Um,
while you're doing that, I'll
yeah.
tell. So, exciting thing that I did this week was I watched one of these train wreck videos on Netflix,
Hmm.
uh, on Storm Area 51, and
Okay. Totally
because
unrelated.
unrelated at all, yeah. But I figured you needed a nice like interlude while you're searching
Okay,
for this
I
stuff.
found it, but
But it's crazy
go
because
for
I
it.
didn't really pay attention to that stuff in 2019. But oh my gosh, it's wild that all these people were gonna storm Area
Oh,
51
dude,
because
that
they
was
have
funny.
aliens.
What was the
Yeah,
thing they were?
Naruto run into it.
Yeah, and they're like, bro, don't. And then he does it. They're like, all right, you're arrested. Please don't
Uh,
make us work. Okay, you're arrested.
yeah, yeah. Because
That
Poop
is,
Cruise got such rave reviews that I
yo,
started
if
watching
you
some of these
guys,
other train wreck things.
if you haven't seen that, Poop Cruise is where it's
Hmm.
at. Just saying.
Yeah, watched
Uh,
it.
nice.
Okay, now the
Yeah,
segue's over.
segue.
Bought you
Okay.
some time.
So yeah, thank you. So here's the six steps. So number one is explain the feature or bug in detail. So hey, I want to sign up form on the homepage, whatever. Here's the fields. The second part is to explicitly tell it what code to review, like any code that's being touched by this feature, right? So if it's like review like signup.tsx or route.tsx, whatever. So you're saying like, and you're tagging those so that you're basically giving it like the pathway to search through your code to understand what's happening. Um, then ask it to build a comprehensive checklist of how it's going to accomplish this with problem solutions and like the different things it's going to do. And then you're basically going to say, ask me any questions you need to get more information about this. And that way, it's not going to just like make these big assumptions. And I think that's one of the problems is that it it's trained so much to just like appease us that it will just make these assumptions without asking and just like start coding. And then the other thing I'll do is I'll say do not write any code without my permission. And that way it doesn't just write this checklist and start coding. It'll like actually stop and be like, can I proceed? And then the last thing is like sometimes as a bonus, I'll add guardrails on it. So like Chris and I have been working together and Chris has been doing all the back end code and I've been doing the front end code. And so I'll say like, do not touch any back end code or APIs. And you can handle this like with cursor rules and things like that. But I like to explicitly state it too. Or like another one is like don't edit any UI styles, just use the pre-existing ones. Like don't create new components or like you can just add a few guardrails on there. And then what you end up getting is pretty interesting because you'll see sort of the thought process of the model of like what it was gonna do. And a lot of times you can catch stuff that you're like, whoa, we don't need to be like editing that file or I don't like that option. And so it'll give you this checklist. You can see exactly how it's going to fix that bug or create that feature. And then I'll workshop back and forth. So I'll be like, hey, remove this item, this item, this item, and I'll tell it to rewrite the list and then ask me for permission before writing code. And so you refine this list over and over and you keep it organized too. Like I tried this without having it rewrite the list too, where I was like, just remove this item and then go. And it didn't work as well. Like you really want to say like refine the list so that it has that organization to go off of. And I've noticed that I get like much better results where like it'll just once I'm ready to go, like it'll just build that and there will be like no errors. Like it'll just work. Um,
Are you doing this in like just so you set it to ask mode, and then you're just kind
I
of you start a new chat and do it to ask mode, and then kind of workshop in ask mode, and then switch it to agent mode?
I
Is that what you're
actually
saying?
have just been doing it in agent mode because I
Oh,
put that thing in that's like do not
oh, do not.
proceed until I give you permission. Um, I feel like also with ask mode, when it's on auto, it uses different models than agent mode,
Mm,
and then it's like you're in like ChatGPT or Gemini in ask mode, or
that's
I don't know
true.
what it is, but then it
And it is
switches to
also like
agent.
burning tokens too, because you can see it like trying to, it has to now write
Hmm.
out the exact code, but not actually do anything with it, and then it has to rewrite the code.
Yeah. So I
There
noticed.
was that thing that I like that you said also too. I don't know if you had said it, but you told me before that it's like the 90% rule. If you are
Mhm.
not more than 90% sure about this implementation, clarify.
Hmm. Yeah, like ask me questions. It's funny too, because like sometimes I will just start reading the checklist and I'll just start making notes in the chat of like things I don't like, where I'm like, hey, don't edit this file or this should work this way or whatever. And then I'll get down to the bottom where it has like the questions for me and they're all like literally what I just wrote. Like it's like by the way, do you want me to edit this file? And then like, no. And like I already answered them.
Mm,
It's funny. But
mm.
but yeah, I noticed that that tends to work a lot better than the sort of like one shot of like build me a sign up form that does this and then just like let it run and then because you end up if you do it that way what you end up doing is you just end up iterating over and over you're like no the form looks horrible change this and
What's
then it
wrong with you? Why
yeah
would you even think to do this?
yeah and then you're just sort of like it gets so scrambled at some point that you're like, all right, restore checkpoint. Let's try this again. And then you just go through the same garbage again. So,
I have to like watch myself sometimes, or like it's just I laugh at myself, I should say, because when you're like sitting there working with cursor and then it's just not like getting it and you're just getting frustrated and you feel yourself and you just like literally want to like cuss it out and
mhm,
be like, how could you dare even think this? But then you realize that you're like, oh well, I gave you
that's
like zero context.
yeah.
Like
You're
it's
like,
like,
it's
why
all
can't you just
me.
know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Exactly. I'm the buffoon here. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, am I actually saving time with this, with how much I'm writing into this prompt?
And
Like I,
iterating.
yeah, like I could just be writing the code, but then again, it does I think it does ultimately save a lot of time because there's just a lot of back and forth with front end code too, where you're like if you're not going off of like a Figma file or something, if you're just like creating uh, views off of just I don't know rainbows and butterflies, you're just back and forth like, oh, do I like that border width? Nope. All right, changing the code. Now look at it. Nope. Changing the
Right.
code.
Yeah,
Um,
no, that's very true. That is very true. I do want to go back to what Randall was saying about the point of he's not allowed to use AI for
mhm.
the certification. You saw Zuck's new thing where he's like, in the interviews, you can use AI now. I guess he's like
Hmm.
It's
moving
smart.
forward. So it's like interesting now is like that, is that going to be the new wave of like,
I mean, it
you can
should
actually
be,
use AI? Yeah, I mean, it's a
right? Like,
tool.
Hmm.
yeah, it's
Yeah, it
like,
doesn't make sense for you not to because as soon as you get hired, they're going to want you to use it. So it's like, You
Yeah.
can't use it while you're getting hired, but as soon as you're working here, you better know how to use it. It just doesn't
Es-
make sense.
Especially in
Right.
cybersecurity too, because it's like, do you guys think that the criminals are going to be like, oh no, I'm not going to use AI?
Their interview process, you're not allowed to
Yeah,
hack this while using AI.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like they're going
we're
to
paying
use
you for it.
anything at their disposal, you know?
Seriously.
That is funny though. Like they're like, no, you need. I think, that's just one of those things with new technology where there's like this trailing, I guess that's the word for it, like trailing understanding by the public where like anything, like when Google came out, people were like, "Oh no, I'm not going to use Google because like I think I was talking about this last week where there's like or it might have been in the coaching call. I watched this video by Veritasium where he was talking about this algorithm that Google uses called
Mm.
PageRank to basically get better search results. And previously, the way that search worked was whatever page had a particular keyword on it, the most number of times showed up at the top, right? That's what like Yahoo is doing. And Yahoo was huge. They had like hundreds of millions of dollars of investors at like day one, and they just marketed themselves, and that's how they became huge, right? Um, but their search algorithm sucked. Like all it did was just see how many times does like buy gold show up on the page. So people would create these pages where they would write white text on white background and just write the word buy gold over and over and over and over. And then they would show up at the top for like buy gold or some other like, valuable keywords. And Google came along and started using actual linking in the internet to determine like, what are high value pages and how many times are people being linked to from high value pages. And basically they used math to improve search.
Maths.
Yeah, maths. And when they did that, they got a lot of um, like what's the word for it? Like kickback or not kickback, like whatever. They got a lot of
Pushback. Hmm.
pushback, yeah, from investors who were like, no, we want people to struggle for search, like during search, so they search a couple times, so we can feed them more ads, right? And it was just like sort of backwards thinking. We're like, no, no, this is how it should be. Like people should struggle to find what they're looking for, so that we can feed them a bunch of ads. And Google just came along and was like, yeah, but if people find the result, they're going to just use us over Yahoo, so we can still feed them ads. But it's the same mentality. It's like people are going to use what works best. Like they're going to use AI because it works. And so
Right.
when we try to like guard that and be like, no, you can't use that, it's like it's kind of dumb. It's like, I mean, the whole point of creating things like AI is it's a tool that makes us better at what we do. And when we say things like, oh, you can't use AI to like hack or whatever it is, like code. It's like, why are you just shooting yourself in the foot for no reason? I thought about this a lot when I first started using Cursor, where I was like, I feel like I'm cheating and I
Right.
should be like putting in the effort. And I think in the beginning, when I first started using it, I leaned a little bit too hard into like just say what I want it to do and press go and like accept all. And that, I learned from that where I was like, okay, that doesn't work that well. And I think the same goes for cybersecurity. It's like you could just sort of unleash AI and be like, go, like you could be like, go hack some system, but you probably won't get great results, right? And you probably get caught doing it. But if you workshop with AI and like learn how to use it as a
Use it
cybersecurity,
like an actual tool.
yeah, then like you're gonna get better results. And I think that's meaningful for people, right? Even these tests should be like, how well can you use AI? Because then they can also make the test harder and be like, we can harden cybersecurity even more if we're like able to use AI to improve what we can do as humans,
Because
right?
it's still problem solving at the end of the day, right? And that's kind of
Yeah.
what programming or cybersecurity, whatever it might be, it's just problem solving. So it's like, I'm going to now give you this super tool, like, and this extremely hard problem, how well can you use this to solve this problem? So it,
Yeah.
it definitely makes sense.
Like, Randall, do you have, I'm sure you have come across this somewhere where like there have been exploits that have been done with AI that were just not even human feasible before. Have you seen stuff like that?
Mm, yeah, I'm sure there is, but
Yeah. I guess
There's
it's,
probably a timing too, like how fast it can be done without being able to stop it.
yeah.
mhm.
Or, yeah. I mean, like it seems interesting to me. There's got to be like, you know, I can't read all of the documentation of like all these different packages and softwares and all that stuff, right? But AI can do that really well and can probably like map out unique exploits for stuff just based on like the fact that it can read a ton of documents. Sometimes I'm like blown away when I give Cursor something and I'm like, read this file, and it's like, boop, did it. Like it's
Yeah.
like instantly like read this entire. I'm like, oh, sick. That's takes forever for me to read, but I guess for you that takes 1 second, and it has a full understanding of everything in that file.
Oh, dude, or like I've been doing that with terms and conditions. I
Oh,
just
dude,
copy and paste them into
huge.
ChatGPT, and I'm like, is there
hmm
anything I need to worry about in this?
I do
Yes.
that all the
We
time.
just did this with
Yeah.
that site, there's an AI for that. You ever heard of
hmm
that website?
No.
So we were just looking at it and like I was like, for some reason, I was like, I'm just gonna paste in the terms of service. I just want to see. And he was like immediately like, this is very sketchy. Like I would not put your business on here. Basically, they own all of the rights to any content on your business without any, and it's like if you want to like fight it, like you have to go to like Romania and do
Oh, jeez.
arbitration in Romania or something. It was
They're
like,
like, good luck
Okay, maybe
finding
okay,
horrible.
us. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's funny.
they're like, you get nothing from this except for we put your site on our website, but then we own all of your intellectual property
That's
forever.
crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. What are you guys'
Yeah.
thoughts on, because I feel this a lot of times, and I know most of us are very up to date with anything that comes out new, any models, any new methodologies, any apps, whatever it might be. Like we're just very like on top of it. But for like the general public, they're not. And then also enterprise actually implementing this new stuff or these new methods or whatever it might be or new tools. But yet I still feel like super behind. Like
Oh,
even though
dude.
like I'm
Yeah. This we've talked about this a little bit before, and I think part of that is a consequence of just like observation bias. Like we see all these other people who have expertise in these little niche fields related to AI, right? Like
hmm
there's like an AI cybersecurity expert, there's an AI Next.js expert, there's an AI like N8N expert, there's an AI automation expert. And we just in our head sort of assume like everyone knows all of that stuff, right?
right.
We like put all those together into like one human being. And I think that's the reality is like there's just no way you could even conceive to like keep up with everything that's happening in the field like this advanced. I think and I think the best solution to that is like be curious, be interested and build your own things, like do your own things and you're going to learn like all these things over time from just being in it.
Yeah.
And
No, that's definitely.
also it's really difficult if you compare yourself to people on, say, like YouTube or LinkedIn or something like that, because they create this thing and put it up there, but you don't know if they have a whole team working for them
Mm-hmm.
or a whole bunch of agents or whatever writing it, scripting it, doing all the research, and they're just kind of reciting it and making it
Yeah.
sound good and look good,
That's
but that
true.
doesn't actually mean that they know it,
That's
but it
very
looks
true.
convincingly like they do.
Yeah, yeah. No, that
Yeah.
is true. Because I mean, a lot of it is just regurgitated information. And like they maybe put a little bit of a lens on it on how it's portrayed, but it's probably just copy and paste. Right.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah, that
I
definitely makes
remember
sense.
like a long time ago, we used to do like SEO, and I would see like these SEO experts, and you'd be like awed by these people because you're like, oh my God, they're like incredible and they make tons of money doing SEO. But then like we just like automatically assume that they have every skill set associated with SEO. Like they know how to build backlinks, they know how to build blog networks, they know how to develop websites, they're experts at marketing, like all these different things. And you're like, wow, that person's amazing. And then like what you as you get better at SEO, you start to realize like they're probably just good at one thing or had like success in one area of that, and then they outsourced most of the other stuff, right? And they just became known for that, and they highly like they like centralized on like that one thing. Like they're like, I'm the guy who can rank like these sort of websites, and they just do that nonstop all day. And then people are like, oh my God, it's so amazing. And you just, as you get more knowledge, there's some like thing for this, right? Like I forget the name of it, but it's like when you're an amateur, you think like there's some like graph that shows like how much knowledge you have versus what you think you know. And it's like when you're an
Mm.
amateur, you think you know a lot more than you do. And then as you gain more knowledge, you realize like you know nothing. And
Yeah.
I think that's sort of the reality with AI. It's like when you don't know a lot, you're like, oh my God, like I'm a king at this. And then you start learning more and you're like, oh my God, I suck at this. Like everybody else knows way more than
Exactly.
me. And the
Yeah.
reality is, it's just there's just so much information out there, um, that I think, yeah, at the end of the day, it's like you can only really like AI is moves faster than I mean, there's probably like a new model that was released while we're making this video, right?
That's true.
Like literally. So it's like, how are you
Yeah.
supposed to keep up with that? You know? Um,
It's also something that's kind of like you can almost drown in AI because back when I was doing the AI hacking course, like I was spending all day every day in AI hacking AI, doing everything with
mhm.
AI, and I literally thought that like AI is everything. Like this, if you're not doing this, like you're just like getting so far left behind. And then I took a week away and I just went into the woods for a week, and life was just normal, you
Yeah.
know? Like
Yeah, it's crazy. It's true. And then you come back to it and it's like it's not like you missed out on something crazy. Like it just kept going at the speed of light and you came back and you're like, all right, it's still AI. I have this like
Yeah.
debate that happens in my head frequently too, similar to what you're saying, where I'm like, oh, AI is so amazing. Like it's incredible tool. Like it can do so much. And then I'm like, at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but it's only kind of like good. Like it's only like kind of good at stuff, you know? It's
Because then you
not,
actually think about what you're using it for, and then
yeah,
all
and
the
you're like,
pain and stuff you have to go through while you're using
yeah,
it.
yeah. Like that's what I was having this week with Cursor. I'm writing these like super detailed prompts and like workshopping back and forth to get a feature made. And I'm like, did I actually save time doing that? Or would it have been faster if I had just coded that on my own? And I think I did still marginally save time, but maybe at the expense of like understanding of what's going on or understanding the code base as well. Um, so I think depending upon what you're using AI for, sometimes it's not really worth it, right? Like, and sometimes it's really worth it too. Like
I
I know,
did notice that too.
yeah.
Yeah, like I noticed the other day, instead of like actually even going into the sidebar, like I was just reading through things and then like using just more of the tab, right? Like and then
Hmm.
writing out and then just using the tab to complete and actually like going through step by step.
Yeah.
Where, but then there's also on the other hand, like, and I did think about this the other day, where when you first like showed me cursor and like kind of got me like turned on to it, I would be so overwhelmed, like just seeing that
Oh
side
yeah.
check just go, brrr. But then the more I started working with it, like I could actually follow along what was happening more. And
Hmm.
it's I guess it's just a skill. Like
Yeah.
coding with AI or AI first coding is actually a skill on its own.
Yeah. And I think that's a good point for any new or experienced developers out there. Like we already see, to go back to how this started, is like we see companies like Meta who are now saying, hey, it's okay to use AI. And so now they're going to lean more towards people who are skilled at using AI because it is a skill. Like it's not just you can hop into Cursor and tomorrow be an expert. It's taken all of us a long time to like get used to not only just the interface of like how Cursor works, but like how to get the most out of it. Um, and I think that's a skill set that these companies will pay for, because
Yeah.
eventually it's going to be like, hey, I can come in as a junior developer or a mid-level developer knowing AI and be much better than a senior developer in my role, right? Because I can use these tools. I know like when um, like I've been to some of your meetups, Chris, the Syntax Summit meetups, and like talk to people who are more skilled developers than me at certain languages. Like I met somebody who is like knows PHP and has been doing PHP for like years, and I'm like, that's awesome. But also, I could probably code better than you
Right.
just using Cursor,
Yeah.
right? Like I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
know. I
Using it
barely.
right.
Yes, exactly. And like, I don't really know a lick of PHP, but I could go into Cursor and be like, let's write a PHP program, explain everything as you're doing it, and I'll write something probably faster and better than somebody else could, right? So I think that's going to be a lot of the evolution of what development means. Is not like, do you know these languages in and out? It's like, how well can you use AI to make yourself like some crazy Terminator AI coder, you know?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I mean, I think it may also come to a point where, a lot of these people their developers can build their own kind of apps now
Hmm.
and like build it so quickly and like put it out there and like it comes
Yeah.
down to marketing at the end of the point after that, but be able to like build now so they aren't even trying to find a job anymore. They're like creating their own job
Yeah.
basically because now they have the ability to do that within a couple days and just, go from there. So
Yeah,
I think
totally.
a lot of
Um,
different outlets.
yeah, I actually have a LinkedIn post coming out later today about that and how, you know, basically like a lot of the economy right now is waiting for the Federal Reserve and the government to argue over interest rates to determine like how the economy should be. Like, are we going to be rich in the next year, or are we all going to be poor ass motherfuckers? Like, that's literally what's happening. We're like, hopefully they cut interest rates so we all have money again, right? But like, I think it's kind of the sad reality of like where we've come in terms of like government control and monetary control. But the reality is like we need to sort of take ownership of that instead of like waiting for the Fed to like cut interest rates. We need to figure out how can we empower ourselves. And I think that's something that AI really allows people to do is like you can be a solo founder. You can have a web agency with just one person now. And like I think this is more than any time in history, it's easier to do that. So I think it's really empowering. With that, we're sort of at time. Do you guys have any like final comments you want to add before I button everything up and do my announcements? Cool. Well, with that, thank you guys for tuning in today, like always. If you do want to be part of our Code Noobs Inner Circle, it is actually free now. That's it, with free with a capital F. In other words, you don't have to pay anything ever to be part of our Code Noobs Inner Circle. And what that means is you get access to us via the Telegram group, the private Telegram community. You can get access to us, the mentors. Chris is in that group as well. And also the rest of the community, all the people in there, you can ask them questions, engage with them, learn more about things like AI and how they're using these coding tools and all this good stuff. You get that for free. And also, for free, you can join us on our 10 a.m. call, which happens directly after this. It's a Zoom call that we have with the community. We start out the call and we just share a little bit about accountability, and then it turns into a community call where you guys can share code or ask questions in the community, whatever you want to do. So if you want to join that, if you've been sort of sitting on the sidelines because it's been too expensive, now it's free, and you can join us just by going to codenoobs.io and you just sign up there, confirm your email, and then you'll be in that Telegram group, and then you'll be able to see the links to join us on Zoom as well. And also, I wanted to make a special little announcement. Chris and I have been working on a really cool project called Precursor. And if you guys are interested in learning how to be like a solo developer or solo founder or have a web agency and really like maximize and scale, we built this tool. It's still in beta right now. And basically the tool is a planning IDE. So one of the issues that we just talked about a lot with Cursor is that you go in there, you sort of like one shot prompt, or you say like, hey, I want to build this feature, and you don't get great results. And so what we built is this tool that will workshop with you the entire project that you want to build. You go back and forth with an AI, and it's going to ask you questions and basically build out these development documents that you can directly import into Cursor or any other IDE. I know Chris has tried it on a bunch of other stuff like Replit, what other ones? Lovable, Bolt.
Lovable.
And basically you can like drop these documents in there and it'll just go and build. And it handles everything from all the different views that you're going to build to the styles to the backend code, pretty much everything. And if you want to, you can join us as a beta tester. You just go to precursor.tools. And also today in the call, I'm going to show off a little bit of what we built so far, so you guys can see exactly how powerful this is and how cool it is. I know I was going through sort of an end-to-end test yesterday, and I was like getting goosebumps. I was like literally like, yo, this is crazy that this like works this well. I honestly, I know we built it, but I was like, I didn't think this is going to work this well. Sorry, Chris, I didn't have a lot of confidence in us, but
Yeah.
but
First time I'm hearing about this.
yeah, but no, it's an amazing tool, and I'm really psyched to have you guys try it, and to demo it for you. So if you want to see that, go ahead over to codenews.io, sign up right now so that you can join today's call, because it's not a recorded call. It doesn't get shared again. It's a live call, and you can only see this stuff if you're inside of that call. So with that, thank you guys for tuning in again. We'd love to have you here. Thanks for hanging out with us on another Saturday. And like always, we'll see you next Saturday. And if you're in the inner circle, we'll see you in about 15 minutes or so. All right. Peace, guys. Hey, thanks for joining us
Later.
today, Chris, by the way.
Thanks, Chris.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.